President-elect Trump choosing Peter Navarro for a top economic position in his next administration. Trump writing on Truth Social. His mission will be to help successfully advance and communicate the Trump manufacturing, tariff, and trade agendas. Peter Navarro joins us now. It's been a while, Peter. What a long, strange trip it's been. I don't know if you're a Grateful Dead fan, but what a long, strange trip it's been, I guess, for all of us, but you in particular, I would say.
Joe, it's really great to be with you. I want to congratulate you, Andrew, and Becky for your longevity. And I have an interesting experience here. I'm one of only 3 Trump people who was with the boss all the way back in the 2016 campaign, through the transition all the way till now. And the good news for both Wall Street and Main Street is that things are progressing beautifully at the transition in a way where we're going to have peace, prosperity, security in a way where I don't think we've ever had a presidential administration achieve that. And it's partly going to be the personnel. We're getting that absolutely right this time. And it's also, of course, going to be the policy. We're hitting the ground running. I've been spending a lot of time down in Palm Beach at the transition, and I think life's going to be great.
I've seen it said that hopefully this time around that maybe Wall Street advisors don't have quite as much influence on policy, and I think you're on the record saying that that some of the Wall Street I guess co-cabinet members or co-advisors back in the last administration got in the way of some of the things that you wanted to do and had the president's ear, so they didn't get done. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, looking in the rearview mirror. But the issue isn't Wall Street. It was the mindset that was brought to the White House. There was just a lot of people who were against the Trump agenda. What we have now, I mean, look, if you go, for example, to the econ team, Scott Bessent, I mean, that guy, he's a chess player. He knows the financial markets cold. He's going to work with Kevin Hassett as the National Economic Council director. They're going to do a beautiful job. We got Howard Lutnick over at Commerce, who's going to bring dynamic innovation to that agency. And by the way, Joe, small business is going to outperform everybody in this country because of the kinds of innovations that are going to be done. And then you have the Musk-Ramaswamy team that are doing the DOGE and cost efficiency. For me, Joe, what this all adds up to, first of all, is we're going to be able to break the back of the persistent inflation we've been experiencing. And it's going to happen first and foremost with Drill Baby Drill. The team we have at Energy and Interior is Burgum and Wright. They're going to get that right. Joe, just going from an average of $75 to $80 barrel of oil, which we've been suffering through in Biden land, back down towards 50, where we were with Trump. That diffuses through the economy in a beautiful way. We're going to deal that way with the cost push inflation. All of these government efficiency reforms that the Batman and Robin there of Elon and Vivek are going to do, that's going to help break the back of inflation. And then on the demand pull side, what we have is, first of all, those green mandates, that EV mandate, that is gone. That's gone like the wind. That's going to help mute prices, the price level. And then I think you're going to see in the next month or two, as these negotiations over the tax cuts and budget and all that, some significant clawbacks so that we're able to reduce our deficit overhang and all the printing the money we've been doing at the Fed. So I just love what's going on. The person, we're getting that right. Sergio Gore, let me put in a plug for him. He was my publisher of the new MAGA deal with Don Jr. He's moved right into that personnel position. Personnel is policy, as Reagan said. And they're just doing a great job vetting people, moving in. They're just hiring people like this.
If personnel is policy, that's what people think, that your appointment made it much more likely that tariffs aren't just a negotiating tool, but that they're actually employed. And, that, to some people, that's a horrifying thought. To others, maybe not so much. But when you talk about inflation, how do you make the case that if you are there to make sure that the president follows through on some of these tariffs, how do you make the case that that's not inflationary?
Because you have the experience of the first term, Joe. We put on significant tariffs on China, steel, aluminum, dishwashers, solar, a lot of increased countervailing duties to stop the dumping. We had zero inflation from any of that. Inflation is both a monetary phenomenon where we run a Federal Reserve that prints too much money, and they do that to accommodate fiscal irresponsibility. And if you look at how the Biden inflation emerged, there's no secret, Joe, how it happened. It's fiscal irresponsibility, spending too much money. And I'd say they just destroyed strategic energy dominance for the United States, which is sitting on the mother lode of reserves that would make it strategic energy dominant. So I would say that just go back and play all the interviews that were done on CNBC of people back in the first term with their hair on fire warning about inflation. It never happened, and it's the same movie this time. I think what we need to focus on, and by the way, the news yesterday was really interesting with Masa-san. You're going to see over $1 trillion, Joe, over $1 trillion of investment increased in this country because of the president's tariff and trade policies, America First policies. People are wanting to come here not just to be inside, but also because of all the good things we're doing in terms of tax relief and regulatory relief. And Joe, I can't stress more this regulatory relief that's coming. It's going to come through the Lutnick chain. It's going to come through the Ilan Ramaswamy chain. And it's going to dramatically reduce the burden on corporations, small businesses. And that's why I said a few minutes ago that small businesses, I think, are going to outperform. The small caps are going to outperform because they got the biggest bang for the buck out of reduced regulatory loads and tax loads.
So do you think that Mnuchin and Cohn, and you're on the record saying this, do you think that it would have been a different outcome? I mean, it seems like you're talking about how great the outcome was in the first administration, at the same time saying that a lot of your efforts were blocked by individuals like the Treasury Secretary and Gary Cohn.
Joe, it's just a matter of phasing at the time. Gary Cohn, Steve Mnuchin, they slowed down what was going to happen, but ultimately the boss did what he was going to do, not because or with their help, but in spite of them. And the result was a beautiful thing. I mean, let's be clear. The first 3 years of that administration before the pandemic, that was the strongest economy we had. And by the way, there's a lot of benefits for Wall Street in peace and prosperity, right, that's going to come with Donald Trump dealing with Gaza, dealing with Ukraine, right, dealing with all of the geopolitical fires around the world that Biden let get out of control.
You've heard, I know you've heard the counter argument that both the Biden administration and the Trump administration spent, and even before COVID, spent too much money. Maybe the tax cuts probably did spur investment and corporate investment, and corporate, I think taxes are at a new high in terms of what's collected. But the deficit did increase greatly during both administrations. And if we do all the things that the president has said he's going to do with cutting taxes, extending the tax cuts, maybe even removing the SALT cap, taxes on tips, taxes on Social Security. How do you keep the deficit under control? And why don't we have a repeat of what happened in the last two administrations, which caused some of the inflation you're talking about?
Let's go back to the first term. Remember, we lost that fourth year in terms of the growth and all the revenues. Right. Yeah, but my point is that we were steadily, not slowly, but steadily gathering more and more strength in the economy. And if we had had a clean fourth year without the pandemic, I think you would have seen a much different fiscal picture at the end of the first term. I think what we're lining up now is a situation where the drill baby drill is going to spur growth. We're going to have tremendous cost savings within the government to pull back the fiscal overhang. And we're keenly aware of the need to engage in fiscal responsibility and prudent Fed policies that will help the American people afford what they need. Joe, the goal of the Trump administration is and has always been a strong real GDP growth rate coupled with a strong rate of growth in real wages. And that's our target. And what I'm saying, Joe, is if you just go around all the agencies and the personnel and the policies that the president's lining up, that all aligns, I think, beautifully. This is the cliche in real terms, the morning in America again with Donald Trump. You're seeing it in your confidence indicators, both in investors and consumers. You're seeing just a different attitude. And effectively, look, Donald Trump's president right now. I mean, Joe Biden's checked out. The president is down at Mar-a-Lago being president, and you're seeing things happen. The Masasan thing, again, I'm seeing more than $1 trillion going to come in, Joe, in investment.
Well, go ahead. You know how everyone wants to talk about tariffs, Peter. So it's good. We're going to need you to come back and make the case for them, because a lot of people are going to be very controversial. And with you there, you come on and explain the benefits, and maybe we'll have someone on the other side of things, and you can go at it.
Anytime, Joe. The case is they don't cause inflation. They protect American workers and manufacturers. We'll come back and revisit that. It's really good to see you, Joe. I'm so happy for what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Peter. And we'll be needing you again. All right, thanks. Squawk Box will be right back.